I wrote it up.
Thank you. Thank
It's crazy. We're all doing
Okay, thanks everyone. Hello and welcome to the public meeting of the Victoria and Esquimalt Police Board on September 17th. Welcome to anybody from the public who is watching. Right before we get started, I'm just going to hand it over to my Vice Chair, Elizabeth Call, who's going to do a territorial acknowledgement. Thank you.
I'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered today on the unceded terrestrial traditional territory of the London people, the Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations. I think we're very fortunate, and we all agree we're very fortunate to live, work, and play peacefully on these lands that the First Nations have looked after since time immemorial. The Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations are Coast Salish. And I have here something I got from Coast Salish elder when I was in Vancouver last that talks about some of their values. They travels and they have the Coast Salish language on it, but also the English translation. I won't try to pronounce Coast Salish, but when I looked at them, I thought some of the values that they are espousing are the same values that we would all subscribe to, particularly the one that says we are all one. Everything is all connected. We're not individual, separate. Everything we do affects everyone else. The other ones that really spoke to me was make up your mind to be strong and open your hearts and minds and do your best. And, you know, I don't know that we can disagree with any of those. So I think this is really good advice. And by honoring these values that are, pass this around if anyone wants to have a look at it, but by honoring these values, we are honoring the First Nations and their tradition on the lands that we shared in. So we're showing respect to the people. So, hi, Chika.
Thank you very much for that. Just before we get started, I just want to put a little bit of context to anybody who's watching that this is the public portion of our meeting and that we as a police board, we meet a number of times throughout the month for the board as a whole and as committees. We look to bring as many things forward to the public meeting and offer as much transparency as possible. So I just wanted to provide that context. I'm also just going to look for a motion to adopt the agenda before we get started. Any additions, omissions, or changes? Elizabeth? Or your motion? Okay, a seconder? Seconded by Paul. Discussion? Oh, yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I do have an addition to the agenda under HR. There's a invoice from Walton Law that I'd like to present for approval.
Thanks. Is the motion accepted as amended? Yes. All those in favor? Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over in a moment to for a short presentation from Staff Sergeant Jen Ames from the Greater Victoria Police Diversity Advisory Committee. And just before I do that, I want to let the board and the public know that we're planning to have an opportunity for a presentation for somebody from Vic PD at each of our meetings. Most of these will take place in the public meeting unless there's a specific reason that they should be in camera. And it's going to be an opportunity for us to get to know our members better, for us to build a better understanding of what's going on in the department, and just an opportunity for engagement and education. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'll hand it over to you now.
Hi there. Thanks for inviting me to present. Sorry, I can't be there in person. I'm just going to share my screen and talk to you a little bit about what the DAC has been up to. Share. Did that work?
Yes.
Okay. So, the Greater Victoria Police Diversity Advisory Committee. you've all heard from us before. This time we're in the public meeting, so I thought I'd just quickly talk a little bit about our mandate. So we are a police and community committee. And our whole goal is just to improve communication and understanding between police and the communities that we serve. So our structure, it's co-chaired by me with the Victoria Police Department, and the community co-chair is Brenda Freeman with the Victoria Native Friendship Center. She was hoping to be here tonight, but she is a very busy social worker and she ended up having a client meeting, so she wasn't able to make it. We have police representation from all of the regional agencies, both municipal and RCMP. And we have community representation from a number of different community groups, including the Intercultural Association, the Jewish Federation, Victoria Multi-Faith Association, the African Heritage Association of Vancouver Island, Asamba Cultural Association, Vancouver Island Counseling Center for Immigrants and Refugees, and so on. And really the idea with the community representation is just to get as much diversity within the representation as possible. So we act as a consultative and advisory body to police agencies and to the chiefs in Greater Victoria. We help police officers better understand diverse cultures, value systems, unique perspectives, and conditions of the diverse cultures they serve. And we bring together members of the diverse communities and police agencies in Greater Victoria. Really, it's just about building trust, improving understanding, and maintaining positive relationships. It's accessibility, right? People need to understand that we're here to serve and we serve everybody equally. Some of our focuses right now, we have been working on hiring a civilian EDI coordinator. This is ongoing. I think we went through an initial bid process on the BC bid website, as was required by the city. That didn't produce any appropriate candidates, and so we will now be going outside that process and just inviting applications. So if anybody knows anybody that they think would be appropriate in this role, stay tuned to the GVPDAC website, and I'll have that posted in the end because we will be posting. Community engagement is something that we do all year long. Members of the DAC will go out to various community events and just be a friendly presence there. Recruiting, we're always sort of thinking about where our gaps are in the committee and how to fill those gaps. And so we're always open to new members. Keeping in mind, we don't want to be too sort of unwieldy in terms of getting too big to get anything done. So the final thing on our list is the 2025 Family Day Dance Along. So for the previous 2 years, we've been hosting the dance along. It was a party. It was a party we invited everybody to, and we weren't sure if anybody would come. And it's actually been really popular over the previous 2 years. The first year we had capacity for 250, and I think we sold. The tickets are free, but we had 200 tickets prior to the event. And last year our capacity for the room that we used at the Commonwealth Center is 300, and we maxed our capacity. So everybody on the DAC really enjoys the event, and they voted at our last meeting that we would do it again for 2025. So stay tuned for the 2025 Family Day Dance Along. So some of our community engagement. We reach out regularly, and like I said, we attend community events just to make ourselves accessible and to answer questions about what we do. Some of our favorite ones, we go every year to Welcome Day. This year, sorry, it wasn't at Victor Broder, it was at Saanich Commonwealth Center. I was at a Black History Month event. It was a community forum on policing reforms. Super interesting. And lots of really interesting commentary by the attendees. We had our DAC dance along at the Saanich Commonwealth Center. We had members of the DAC attend police camp, where we presented on different topics related to EDIA. And we were at the youth gathering at the Victoria Native Friendship Center. We were at the Pride Parade and the Saanich Lantern Festival most recently. Just a few photos. So to the right in the photograph is Brenda Freeman and May Shahade, who is with Victoria Multi-Faith, and of course Constable Stacey Fuller with Vic PD. This was at our dance party last year. Dr. Shirley Alphonse is an elder from Sioux Nation, and for the past 2 years, she has been kind enough to bless the event before we started. Last year, we had the Tillicum drummers. They came and were really well received. Everybody really enjoyed drumming along with them. And then we had Ukrainian dancers. We had Bhangra dancers. And we had Arab dancers come out and share all of their dances with everybody. And so for anybody who's not familiar, the whole idea of the dance along is that police and community get together in a really kind of silly and fun event. And a group shares their cultural dance, and then everybody gets a chance to dance along with them. So there are some people dancing really beautifully and most people dancing really badly, and it's a lot of fun. Upcoming events. So we plan to be at the NFC Youth Gathering again this year. Of course, Truth and Reconciliation Day is coming up at the end of this month. And as I mentioned, we'll be doing our dance along again in February. And that's kind of the short story about the DAC and what we're all about. Does anybody have any questions or anything that I didn't speak to that you would like to hear about?
I'll just take a moment and thank you for the work that you do. You've got some really excellent initiatives, and I'm really appreciative of the effort that you put in and of you taking the time to come and present to us. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Sure, perfect. Thank you for that, Chair. And we just wanted to also give a shout out to the work that Staff Sergeant Jen Ames does. She does this off the corner of her desk. If you saw on her first slide, we're in the process of hiring a civilian director, coordinator that would help in this work, this important line of work. But Jen is a police co-chair. And we're lucky to have her as a big PD member. So I get obviously insight into what the Diversity Advisory Committee is working on. But also Jen is advising all of the area chiefs. This is a regional initiative that supports all of our police organizations in the South Island. And so Jen, I want to acknowledge the work that you're doing and the plans that we have moving forward once we have the civilian coordinator in place. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. Tim?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say that I also sit on the DAC committee. And yeah, it was my first meeting this September, and it was a unanimous vote for the dance along, primarily because the chief gets to dance and it's always fun to watch. And it just speaks to this interest to engage community. I think I like that second bullet of the vision, and the purpose of DAC is to inform police on the diversity in the community. So it is a two-way relationship that is spearheaded. So thank you. It is an honor. And again, that ability to speak to the regional chiefs and for the community through DAC to be able to channel their thoughts is, I think, a really value add. So thank you. And it is a pleasure to be on that committee and to represent the board's perspective in the discussions that happen around that table.
I didn't know you were on that committee, Tim. That's really great. Thanks very much. So I look forward to our next presentation next month. I'm going to go back to item B and just ask if there's any declarations of conflict of interest. Seeing none, I will move on to item D, adoption of the public minutes of August 20th. Any errors or omissions? And I will just point out that my name is spelled incorrectly in case that counts as an error. That's okay. So with that in mind, can I get a motion to adopt the public minutes of August 20th? Paul, seconded by Dale. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. I'm just going to take the opportunity to give a quick update, and I'm sorry for those of you who are in camera who are going to get a little redundant message from me, because I know I shared some of this before. But I just want to take an opportunity of my first full meeting as chair of the Victorian Esquimalt Police Board to reiterate how pleased I am to be here, how excited I am for the opportunity, and how much I appreciate the support of the board in this role. What you can expect from me as a chair is a high level of professionalism, openness, and engagement. I'm very focused on relationship building with the community and within our department. And I want to extend a very special and heartfelt thank you actually to both the mayors, the co-chairs, previous co-chairs, Mayor Desjardins and Mayor Alto, for their great leadership. So I'm really looking forward to being your chair. And now I'm going to move on to committees update. And I've got first, let me scroll down here. Governance. Hand it to you, Paul.
Thank you, Michaela. So on behalf of the governance committee, we have three motions that are in your package. I will just note since there was we can lose one T in committees if we want to be really specific. So those keep a track of there you go. There's my one observation. But the first one is regarding terms of reference. In our, just for everybody's reminder that this board operates under a board manual. The board manual describes our duties, our committees, how we function. Because of changes under the Police Amendment Act, I believe that was Bill 17, if my memory serves me correct. The changes required local government to remove the mayors, sitting mayors from being the chairs of local police boards. And what some of the subtle change was is that it's no longer the mayors, it's a council appointed position, are then selected by each municipality. In our case, we have two: the Township of Esquimalt and of course the City of Victoria. They send their representative. So this is what I would describe as a housekeeping motion. It effectively is taking away the old language, which had co-chairs, because the two mayors shared that role, and making sure that now we just operate under the chair. So on behalf of the governance committee, I will move that the board approve the updated changes made to the terms of references for the chair and vice chair positions.
The seconder. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
And moving on in the spirit of time here, because of the rejigging of the co-chairs who were the mayors, the governance committee had a discussion about committees. Each one of our board members sit on two committees. We have three committees here at the police board. We have an HR human resource committee dealing with internal staffing matters. We have a governance committee which deals with the governance matters of internal matters. These are internal matters, as well as a finance committee that deals with the overall financial affairs for running the Victoria Esquimalt Police Board. And so this again, I think this is in some sense I'm going to coach as a phrase as a housekeeping type of matter, but there is a motion that was actually suggested in the package. I'm going to change it a little bit to read that I will move that the board confirm that the council appointed representatives be permitted to participate on board committees.
I see Barb's hand, but I'm going to take a seconder first and open for discussion. Dale, Barb, go ahead.
So it's been moved and seconded. Okay, I'm really concerned, even with the new language, that the board is not assuming that the municipal representatives through the new act are members of the board with all roles and responsibilities of anyone else. And so I dislike and would hope that we could change the language to come away from, I'm not even sure the motion is required, because it should be just as everyone else on the board that a municipal appointee will be placed on committees. And so because I wasn't able to attend the committee meeting, I wasn't able to provide that input at that time, but I would really appreciate the board to reconsider this motion as a change to the manual, but not a necessary motion that really speaks to making those municipal appointees different than the rest of the board.
I'll let Paul respond to that now.
But thank you, Mayor.
You can call me municipal appointee.
I can, but you're also the mayor of the township of Esquimalt, and I don't want to I understand your comment. The amendment is effectively updating our policy, our board policy, because the co-chairs are currently listed as ex officio members on committees. And whether the word permitted is the right terminology, what we're trying to say is that prior is that you were not a full-fledged member of those committees, and what the governance committee is saying is you are now. I could go on. I don't think it's worth getting into. I'm happy to entertain a different wording of this, but the effect is that we want the council representatives to be active on our committees, full stop. How we word that, I'm sure the governance committee is not going to lose sleep on, but that's the intent, Mayor Barb, and nothing more.
Sorry, did you want to respond?
I'd like my hand back up, but I'll wait for others.
Okay, go ahead, Holly.
Perhaps it's something as simple as change permit to encourage. But I think it's important that the manual is clear in terms of we have to make the changes tangible in that manual. And I just want to put out there that I want everyone to ensure that we're all in agreement that yes, I do believe both mayors should be on the board just like any other board member, but without any exceptions to that. So I want that to remain consistent across the board for all purposes.
Thank you. I'll go back to you now, Mayor.
Thank you. The co-chairs were ex officio. There are no longer co-chairs. There are municipal representatives, of which right now this board has 2 mayors. That should be reflected, and Paul, thank you for the change in language, but it should be reflected only in, if we're going to change the manual, we reflect that and ensure there's a statement that says all board members, except for the chair, who is remains ex officio, participate on committees, so that this is not a motion that is, in my mind, required. You are changing the board manual so that perhaps the motion could say the manual is reflective of the change in the act, and all members of the board will be members of committee. I'm really concerned about the wording, and if you're not comfortable with the conversation now and you want more, I would be happy to table this back to governance to provide my further thoughts on this.
Yeah, not to get into a debate about what I consider is a housekeeping matter. The intent of this is an enabling motion. Currently, as the board manual suggests, the co-chairs are ex officio members on committees. They are no longer that. What this does is immediately, effective tomorrow, if this is approved, will allow the chairperson to appoint the two council representatives who happen to be mayors on our committees. If that is passed, the governance committee will then update the board manual in fact, this language to incorporate exactly what Mayor Desjardins is suggesting. So it's kind of a two-phased-in approach. And so again, what the plan is if this is enabling to pass, the chair tomorrow can appoint the two council reps, get them on the committees immediately. We don't have to wait for a month. The governance committee will bring back the new revised terms of reference for this section. So it's a staged-in approach. We could have done the wordsmithing first, but we just didn't have the time. We wanted to get these folks on the committees. I stand by the motion. I certainly support the motion as presented. Thank you.
So I'm going to call all those in favor. Any opposed? Motion carries. So
Yeah, thank you. The next one is a remuneration policy. So the current board has a remuneration. Remuneration is not the correct word. It's a stipend type of honorarium that process that we had. We've changed it recently to a remuneration policy just to make it easier for internal administrative process. But again, because of the changes under the bill, the current chairperson, the wording was not reflective of the chair. And this simply is saying, and I will just get into the motion, put it on the floor, it'll be easier. I will move that the board approve the board chair to receive remuneration as per August 20th, 2024, and elected officials appointed by the respective councils are not eligible for remuneration. And I will move that.
second by Sean. Discussion, I can see your hand up, Mayor.
Again, I would ask to table this to provide for the municipal appointees. I will make the motion to table this so that the municipal appointees can provide further input.
She faded off, I think. Did we get it all?
She's doing another motion, but we have to end this motion first or do an amendment to this motion.
No, a tabling motion supersedes that.
Okay, is there a seconder? Dale? Discussion?
I have a question for the chair of governance. So if what is the impact of tabling this? It's just, we don't make a decision today, we make a decision later? Is that really what's happening?
Yeah, exactly. There's no real effect. We wanted to just clarify this issue. And again, it's just trying to get stuff off our list. So there's, can it wait? Absolutely. Does it need to wait? Well, I don't think so, but I'm not gonna argue this one.
And a second question before the chair of governance, do we have any information about what other police boards in the province are doing?
Want to take a shot?
Actually, yes. So through your chair to you, Elizabeth, yes, so the governance committee did through our EA did research. No other police board in the province will pay any remuneration of any kind to an elected official. They have made that policy very clear. And in spirit further that some of the boards have said that it's part of the elected official's duty as such. So thank you for that.
Again, just if the board approves this motion as presented, this will enable the governance committee to revise the language.
Point of order, you are speaking to the motion before the tabling. That has to be decided first.
We need to vote on whether the motion is being tabled to the next meeting.
I'd like to call a question on that then, so we can get that off the table.
I have a question about that. Thank you. Can you please repeat? I want to know what we're tabling. What was the original motion? Because I want to know if it includes the chair or just the municipal appointees.
So the original motion is that the board approve the board chair to receive remuneration as of August 20th, 2024, and that elected officials appointed by the respective councils are not eligible for remuneration.
Remuneration?
That word.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, I appreciate that. So ultimately, it is inclusive of all of that to table this motion, just for clarification.
There's a motion on the table that the board table.
That motion.
Do I have a seconder for that motion?
So Dale had seconded, so now you need to.
All those in favor of table? Any opposed? We go back to the, okay, can I go back to the original motion?
Did it get tabled? Which way did it go?
It was defeated.
You seconding the original motion now?
No, I'm recommending an amendment to the motion. I want to split it. That's my amendment to the motion. I want to have the chair separate from municipal appointees. We can deal with them separately.
So, do I have a seconder for that motion? Can we get, sorry, I want to back up. Can we get that motion read back first before I get a seconder?
That the board approve the board chair to receive remuneration as of August 20th, 2024, and that the elected officials appointed by the respective councils are not eligible for the remuneration.
But we're splitting it.
That is but yes, that's what I'm putting forward, that you cut that right in half, put a period and a capital letter.
Okay, so can we get the first motion read back?
Yes. That the motion, that the board approve the board chair to receive remuneration as of August 20th, 2024.
Or a seconder to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Oh,
Are we to determine the amount of remuneration at a later date?
All this is doing is inserting the word board chair into the current policy. There's no change in any of the allowances.
Okay.
I think, thank you. That was the intention of considering tabling is to figure out what the rates will be and yeah, just the nitty gritties. That has gone, and the question I had was also whether the amount will also be considered at this time. I get the answer to that question as well.
so all those in favor? Any opposed?
Can you please repeat the motion?
That the board approve the board chair to receive remuneration as of August 20th, 2024.
All those in favor? Motion carries.
Okay, the second motion is that the elected officials appointed by respective councils are not eligible for remuneration.
Second, Sean, any discussion? Holly?
I'd like a motion to table that.
Second. Okay. All those in favor?
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you. What happened?
We've split the motion in half, so we're dealing with just the motion related to elected official remuneration, and Holly has put forward a motion to table that motion, and I'm about to call.
Okay, thank you.
You like discussion first?
Yes. Any further discussion?
No discussion on table.
Sean?
Yeah, no, I understand the purpose of splitting it up, and thank you for doing that. And I understand the purpose of having discussion further, but I'm still will be in favor of not having elected official remuneration. That's my stand today, and I'm going to stand for tomorrow because nobody in the province does it. And I don't see why we need to be the first.
Motion is not tabled.
Okay.
We're having a motion right now on tabling. Yes, we're not having a discussion on the motion now. So if it's tabled, then we'll discuss it later. If it's not tabled, we can discuss it now, but let's not discuss it in the table.
Okay, so we're gonna call the motion on table. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Tie. Alright, so now you decide.
Fun.
Welcome to the chair.
I am not in favor of tabling. Motion carries.
No, wait a minute.
You're not in favor? Sorry, how do you
You're
in
in
favor?
So the motion to not table is, has been defeated, right?
Hold on.
Or to table has been defeated.
We didn't consider Barb's vote.
You are the one that yielded time. So
We didn't consider Barb.
let's go back. All those in favor
Of tabling.
of tabling the motion. Barb, can I take your hand up as being in favor?
Yeah, can you not see me?
No, you're
Oh,
frozen.
you're frozen. This is the problem.
I'm in favor.
All those opposed to tabling the motion. So it carries. It's good.
And Chairperson, those are the three motions of the Governance Committee. I'll turn it back to you for the human resource, for the finance section.
It's actually, Tim added something to the agenda for the human resources.
Yes, thank you. I think I can be as quick as I possibly can. Following our last board meeting, there was a rise and report that confirmed that we were extending the contract of the chief constable for I'm in possession of a bill from our legal counsel that worked on the contract. So, and my apologies to my colleagues on the finance committee and also HR committee. Ideally, this should have come through finance committee first, but we're a little late. Am I still?
I'm cheering now.
Yeah, okay, there you go, Chair. So I have a motion here to approve a bill from Overholt and Law to the tune of $3,371.20. And I've confirmed that all of the work is accurate.
Do I have a second for that motion? All? Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Okay, so is there anything else from HR, Tim?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, so the next report is finance, which I will do. I'm going to give a very short report. The 2024 budget is almost completed. We finished, I think, 99% of our consultation. We had our meeting with the City of Victoria last week, so we have their input as well, and there may be one or two other organizations still to come. There will be at some point a summary of the report of the results, or the not results, but the feedback we got, a very short one that's will be available to the public. I don't think anybody's going to see any surprises in it. It's amazing consistency. No matter whether we're talking to neighborhood groups, business groups, or social service agencies, there's a lot of common themes. That budget will be coming to the board on October 1st. And then we will then take the budget to the joint board council meeting on October 16th. So I think somewhere I saw, and I was struggling to find it before I had to take over as chair, that there was a date of looking at it September 30th, but it's actually, or earlier, but it's actually October 1st when we will see the full budget. And I want to have to look at it, and we'll have lots of time to look at it. So I don't think there's anything more on the 2024 budget. Sorry, the 2025 budget, that's what I'm talking about. On the 2024 budget, that's going back there, we still have a few things hanging out. The appeal of some of the things that we had in our 2024 budget. Or no, that's our 2023 budget, isn't it? It's gone on and on and on. We have no idea what's happening with that. I have requested frequently of the minister and his staff to let us know what's going on there. But things will happen as they happen. But that is something that we have been working on within the department, with contingency plans, depending on what final decision is in that. So I think, what else can I say? I think the 2025 budget is in good shape right now. We're dealing mostly with inflationary pressures and a few things that we would like to see to make an improvement, which reflect the opinions and the advice that we got from the municipalities. So that's my report. I'll turn it back over to you, Michaela, if you want.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm gonna move to item G, board member update. Sorry, did you have a question, Barb?
No, sorry.
Board member engagement update. This is an opportunity for any of the board members to share publicly about any engagement that they have done on behalf of the board. Tim?
Very much, Chair. I just, I'm gonna repeat that I am on the DAC committee, and we met. That was a lot of fun.
Anybody else? We're gonna go, for just a point of order, it looks like we missed a motion in the finance committee update.
We're not ready to approve it at this point. That's why I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that it's October 1st, we're having a meeting where the board will approve it. So it would be premature for us to pass this motion now. I'm not quite sure how that motion got into the agenda, but anyway, it's October 1st where we're having the meeting to approve the budget. So the budget package has been presented both, I think, in the public agenda, am I correct? Tanya? So it's there for everybody to see, but we have not made a final decision on it. And the committee will recommend it.
Thanks. I'm gonna actually just stay with you for a moment, Elizabeth. It looks like we've missed the monthly financial report on page 4.
You're right. Sorry about that. I can't share and do committee reports at the same time.
I'm sorry for going to the back.
There's not a lot to point out in here. First of all, I guess the good news is essentially wherever we are now, how many months through the year, we're on target. We're very close to our spending and our revenue are pretty close to where they need to be. And I think the other most interesting thing is the organization that has happened over the last year or so in terms of restructuring some of the ways that the department operates internally has had a really good impact on our overtime budget, which has of course been a concern, the overtime that we have. And so right now, according to our finance director, we're actually operating within our overtime budget, and we'll probably be able to do that right to the end of the year. Last word I got from the director of finance was that we effectively removed the overspending that occurred in prior years. So that should be good news to everybody. The rest of it, I don't have anything else to highlight, but if anyone's got any questions, those are the things that stood out for me.
Just, maybe this is probably through the chair, probably to the chief, or one of the deputy chiefs. What triggered my mind on page 5 of 20, there's statement 3 capital expenses. There's a large section on vehicles and talking about the purchase of additional vehicles. My question is tied into the word vehicles. It came to my attention that just last month, Ford has recalled 85,000 Explorer police SUVs, and over an issue regarding engine fire risk. And I just thought, given that vehicles were mentioned, I just thought it would take just an opportunity to quickly flag that issue, whether it's an issue for us or not. Given that if it is, it's certainly a large budget item. So I don't know where we sit, but it was 85,000 Explorer police SUVs, engine fire, and it certainly thought it would be worth mentioning.
So flagged, thank you, and I will check with our fleet manager. Appreciate it. I haven't heard of anything yet, and Matt's very on top of these things, but I will double check, so I appreciate that.
Any more questions for Elizabeth? Just jumping back to the board member engagement update, does anybody else have anything to add?
The swearing in ceremony.
Yeah, would you like to?
Because I attended the swearing in ceremony, and it was a privilege and an honor to do so. The recruits are, have strong backgrounds. They've worked, in a variety of roles, and they're going to really add a lot of value to the complement of police force that we have. And it's always a pleasure to meet the young people swearing in ceremonies.
Thank you very much. Okay, seeing no other additions, I will move on to item H, BC Association of Police Board Directors update. That is me. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm the vice president of the BC Association of Police Boards. I don't have an update for you this month. We have our quarterly board meeting this Friday, so I will update you following that. And then I'm going to go to item I, Chief Constable update. I'll hand it over to you, Chief.
Sure, perfect. Thank you for that, Chair. And I'm just referring to page 12 of 20. I'm not going to go into great detail. The report is what it is. It's a one-pager that kind of lays out what I did between the last board meeting and this board meeting. A couple of things I'll highlight. I presented a couple of promotional plaques to individuals that were being promoted within Big PD, attended Rib Fest, Beer Fest, many of the community festivals that we have. And as was mentioned earlier, I swore in 6 new recruits and 1 experienced officer on September 5th. And also walked the beat downtown with Inspector Michael Brown. So that's the report as presented. On an operational front, I've got a couple updates and I'll turn it over to my deputy chiefs. I won't get into great detail, but the board would have seen some of my public comments regarding the increase in hospital wait times. That has been a concern. It's been a topic of discussion at Big PD for many, many, many years. We do what we can to work with our health authority. I've been very clear that none of my comments are a reflection on our healthcare professionals, especially the ones that work in emergency medical care. Our emergency room physicians, nurses, they do amazing work. But I think it's just the challenge that we're seeing is the system is overburdened. But when we are seeing we're trending upwards in our hospital wait times, some of the outliers are happening more frequently, where some officers are at the hospital with an individual apprehended under the Mental Health Act for 6 to 8 to 9 hours. That is not a good use of police resources. And so we are doing everything that we can to address some systems changes, perhaps for government to consider special constable status for hospital security. They would get the requisite training, anything that we can do to get our officers back on the streets so they can respond to emergency 911 calls would be appreciated. I can tell you that I've got a meeting with the vice president from clinical services from Island Health on October 4th. That's a follow-up meeting to the discussions that we've been having, so I'll keep the board apprised of making any significant headway. The other thing I wanted to just highlight for the board is earlier today, we had a report that was released from the University of Victoria. So it's called the Impact Report. There's a media release that we did on it, and Impact stands for Integrating Municipal Police Officers into Assertive Community Treatment Teams. The report is actually extremely favorable and supportive of the work of integrating police officers within these multidisciplinary teams. For those board members that don't know, we have 5 ACT teams in Victoria. And out of those 5 ACT teams, we have 3 Big PD officers that are attached to the teams. We're the only police agency, because this is a regional effort, that have police officers attached to the teams. And the 5 teams, they serve about 450 clients between the 5 teams. We're talking about individuals with serious and severe and persistent mental illness. And so the team does an amazing job. The team is made up, by the way, of psychiatrists, registered nurses, peer support workers, probation officers, police as well as a team. But I'll just read one area, one takeaway that I would like the board to have. Clients with a history of violence experienced fewer police interactions related to violence and more mental health related police supports after joining ACT, suggesting that the Victoria ACT model successfully reduces risk of violence while also improving mental health support to clients who might not be able to be supported if police were not embedded on the teams. The shout out goes out to the University of Victoria. We had the Department of Psychology, Dr. Erica Wooden and Catherine Costigan, who did the independent review of the teams, and they looked at over 450, 448, I think, files, and also interviewed active clients and staff, and came up with the analysis that they did. So I'll leave my comments at that, but this is a real win-win and a real feather in our cap to what Vic PD does in working with our mental health partners. I'll turn it over to Deputy McCrae for operations, and Deputy, if you want to turn it over to Deputy Layton for admin. Thanks.
Just three things to share with you. The first was actually just from yesterday. An arson that occurred to a vehicle in the 900 block of Esquimalt Road. Independently, I wouldn't necessarily raise this as an area for your awareness, but because we had 3 days earlier a different vehicle, also an arson in Esquimalt, does raise some concerns for us, trying to determine as we speak right now if there is a connection to the two arsons or what the connection might be. So just you would have seen our media release on the first one, which happened on September the 13th, and this is just making you aware that we have had a second one and we are absolutely working on this. Secondly, on September 9th, around 9 p.m. in the 1000 block of Government Street, we did have a suspect downtown randomly assaulting people. This suspect successfully assaulted 3 people as police were being called. We were able to get there very quickly and take the suspect into custody without incident. Of the 3 people who were randomly assaulted, and there is no connection to the suspect or the victims, one of the victims did hit the ground and hit their head quite hard, causing the need to go to hospital. We held the suspect in custody. He was charged with 2 counts of assault and 1 count of assault causing bodily harm. Motivation is unclear, but I think we can deduce there was potentially a mental health component to this as well as a drug intoxication component to this. And then finally, one that I'm raising for you, and again, we did provide some public information on this. It's a series of issues we've been seeing relating to lighters that look like firearms. So these lighters are being sold at a local store. If you looked at them, they look like a small firearm in the person's hand. We've been getting 911 calls from people quite concerned about seeing these lighters. I was actually out on the road with the patrol shift last week when one of these calls came in, where it was believed a male was holding a gun to a female's head. That obviously prompted a significant police response, as all of these have, because we need to treat them as a real firearm until we know otherwise. Only to learn that it was a lighter. We've had at least a half a dozen of these calls in the last 3 weeks. So not only taking up these resources, but the danger that comes with it, the risk to the public when we're racing to get to that. We have identified the store that is selling these, and they have agreed to no longer sell them. So it doesn't mean another store couldn't start selling them. And of course, they don't need to comply and say we're not going to sell them. But we're hopeful that as they're no longer kind of readily available, we may see a reduction in these lighters. But this has certainly been a problem for our frontline patrol resources, and the safety risk is extremely high to the public. And very hopeful that we can now get to the point where we're no longer selling them to the public. I'll leave it at that and move it on to Deputy Layton.
I have nothing for the session. Thank you, Chair.
I will move on to item G, the equity, diversity, inclusion, and engagement.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. It's in your package at the bottom of my activity report, and I've attended 3 events, and I will continue to prioritize attending events where I can.
Very much. And as we come right up to a few minutes before 6, we are going to finish our agenda. I had really wanted to have a firm 6 ending, but I do appreciate everybody's comments and robust discussion. So we'll look at the positive side. I'm moving on to item K, roadmap for healthy and inclusive workplace. And I believe that you're speaking to this, Deputy Chief Layton. Is that correct?
I'll start.
Okay,
with it,
sorry.
actually. Yeah, that's fine. So I just sec here. Okay, so the roadmap. I know this is really important for the board. It's important for our senior leadership team. This comes to the board every number of times a year, and this is the latest update. We've tried to simplify it. We have three main areas: mental health and wellness, EDI, EDIA, and also leadership, which really is communication. I will leave my comments at that for the time that we have. But I want the board to know that there's thoughtful discussion, there's regular engagement between leadership, both of our unions, to further advance and make sure that we are doing everything that we can to ensure that we have a healthy and inclusive workplace at Big.
As you can see, we've moved the needle on a number of things, and I'm not sure if, Chair, if you want me to walk through those things or whether for the sake of time, just open it up for questions.
I think giving a high level update would be good in the short session.
Sure, yeah, so we can start with mental health and wellness, and wellness section on number one. I'll work my way through the September updates as they come. Our Director of Human Resources, Chris Kotzich, can be with us today. So number two, assess mental health and wellness resources, available staff, and make improvements where required. The September update involves one of our staff members found this clinic and this agency in Vancouver that deals directly with police and veterans. Sent us a note on it, and we've expanded and happy to note that I think they're looking at opening up a potential Victoria office, which is great. We've had great feedback from that sort of resource that we opened up to our members through word of mouth at this point. Number three, identify gaps in knowledge between available mental health and wellness resources. In September, the Peer Connect app has been implemented organizationally wide. Sergeant Elliott and her staff have been visiting all the divisions and watches to familiarize membership with the apps, and we will be able to pull some analytics out of that to see how that's going in the future. Creating a formal wellness program. So a lot of this work in this strategy or this roadmap will be brought back to I think the first sort of formal meeting with the two in-house psychologists and the HR team to actually create a formal wellness strategy for the organization. This is the part of this roadmap is to get there and have some permanency in some of the directives and some of the initiatives that we've taken. So that is forming part of that. So we'll be looking forward to reporting back out on the group or out to the board on that front. The in-house psychologists, they have presented seminars, they've been on ride-alongs, they've talked about secondary traumatic stress, mindfulness, and they have some session topics coming up, and I believe they're on the schedule for our NCO school or NCO training that will be coming out this fall. The occupational health nurses, that position is still under review. Number 7, implementing initiatives that improve mental health education tools and emotional support for families. We, along with the other area departments, help fund Beyond the Blue, which is a supportive agency for families of our members. They hosted a family gathering at the park. They had a support table at BC Law Enforcement Memorial, and among other things, they've been doing very, very well in support our needs. Lastly, ensure that human resources divisions adequately staffed. We constantly look at that, and the training cost will, of course, is improving in the 2024 budget. Move on to equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. I'm the lead for these, except the first one is the hiring of the EDIA and assistive facilitator to assist in comprehensive EDI strategy. We have, out of that strategy, we've established committees for training, communications, policy promotion and recruitment review, as well as our external partnerships committee. And I think it's noted here later that we're going to be having another consultation period to hire an external consultant to start to help us train, but also look with an EDI lens for policy review. And that was number 4, actually. And then leadership, do you want to go through that or your September updates?
Sure, again, thanks, Deputy. Just the last 2 are improving communication. So what are we doing as a leadership team to improve communication? I can tell you that we have Inspector Lawson, who has actually created 4 constable committees, 1 for each patrol watch, and himself and Staff Sergeant Cliff Watson are meeting regularly with the patrol watches, making sure there's that two-way communication. And also in the latest round of promotions, I'm making sure that I'm personally attending to all the patrol watch briefings, as I said in my chief's update, to present promotional plaques, meeting with the officers. In addition to every newly promoted officer, I'm meeting one-on-one with them for an hour, just to talk a little bit about leadership and about personal organization leadership, challenges and concerns, and how we can better serve the organization.
Thank you, Deputy.
Yeah, and I'll just finish off by saying that this roadmap is exactly, it's a roadmap and we need to get to a place. So you'll note that some of these initiatives have been, we've started to conclude because they're either ongoing or it's been done. But rolling these into that sort of that comprehensive wellness strategy overall is the goal for where this roadmap is going to lead.
Thanks very much, and yeah, I appreciate you taking the extra few minutes on that. I know it's been an important topic for board members, and I know that I think it's valuable for members of the public to hear. And so we have a few questions, Dale.
I was just wondering about, I understand there's a partnership or relationship with Vic PD and the Wounded Warriors of Canada. And I'm just wondering if that's part of the wellness kind of program or should be in there, or is it something separate?
Yeah, it sure will be in part of the strategy, and we've been proud partners for probably three or more years, and we're quite involved, as you know, Daisy is as a result of that partnership, and a number of our staff have partaken in some of the programs, and the island is one of the biggest fundraisers for that program, and that, yeah, for sure, that will be part of that. I mean, we like to think of it as I don't know, a la carte, I guess is the right word. So we want to be able to offer services to our members that are most suitable for those members. So some services that we offer might be not suitable for members, and other services might be suitable for those members. So that's part of the wider sort of wellness ecosystem that we're trying to build.
So it is part of the wellness kind of strategy.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
I'll be really quick. Thank you for the report. It's really great to see everything set out like that and all the updates. So that's fabulous. At a future meeting, I'd like to know how we know that we're making progress. Like, how do we evaluate all the things we're doing? It's great to be doing things, but how do we show that we've moved the dial on how our employees feel about it? So we don't have to answer that now because Michaela's going to pull the rug out from underneath us past 6, but I'm just flagging it. I'd like to see it at some future point.
Just if it flows from my colleague's question, my question or point would be is when would you anticipate a next update on this report?
We have a schedule on this report. I think it's 3.
Yeah, we do. Next update is gonna be in December.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, very grateful for this. Chief, your performance is tied to these goals, so really happy to see that needle is moving. I am cognizant that membership is stretched. There's a lot happening. We've got new policies that are coming up that we're expecting membership to be apprised of. How are we ensuring that mental health still is a priority and not one of those things that is put on the back as we are busy running from call to call?
Thank you. Through your chair. That's a great question. I would answer that by saying it's a work in progress. This is a very busy department and we have a lot of demands and we have lots of people that are doing things off the corner of their desk that are outside of their primary duties. I can tell you that the things that we are doing is we have really good relations with our union. We're asking for every staff member at Vic PD to do an annual wellness check. We've never done that before. They were only for specific individuals in high risk areas where there's a high frequency, where they're exposed to trauma more frequently. We have expanded that program to every single employee, including civilian members of the Victoria Police Department. It literally got launched a number of months ago in the spring. So having programs like that, reducing the stigma, having the in-house psychologist, you heard about some of the connections, not just through ride-alongs, but building those relationships. So we have mental health professionals in our building that are grounded on the first floor, that are leading some of these discussions. That the goal here is to intervene early and to make sure that we're proactive and preventative. So when people are feeling that they're having levels of anxiety or stress or burnout, that we're not allowing them to run themselves into the ground and be off. We're trying to address those things early on into self-care and directing them to the resources that we have. Dale talked about Wounded Warriors Canada. They're the mental health professionals across this country. They're national providers. So partnering with their programs, their services is really, really important. So we continue to do what we can. The Peer Connect app is now an app on every person's phone that they can quickly access and share information of not only if you need help, but who they may feel needs help. So we're actually building all this capacity, and there's more work to be done, but with each initiative also sometimes comes additional workload as well to manage it.
Chief, we've got the peer support team. We've got the performance appraisal system that actually where your supervisor and you are having a one-on-one, so there's an opportunity to do a check-in there. So there is that bevy of opportunity for the check-in. And it's I can tell you it takes up a lot of our time as senior leaders to make sure that these initiatives are still moving.
Okay, and I think maybe then to, again, my colleague's question, with some metrics on that, not that the anecdotal isn't valuable, but again, just, and also to see where we can be of support in helping you move those needles along.
Well, I think there's an appetite for a bigger discussion on this, so maybe we can bring it back at the next board meeting, because it seems like there's many people who have things they'd like to bring up. Okay, thanks. If we can move on to the review of board strategic priorities. So this is an opportunity for us to discuss it as a board when we are planning to discuss our strategic priorities again.
Well, I suggest that it's an item for our board retreat, because it's gonna take some time, and I think that's one of the most important things we can do at our retreat.
I'm fine with that. Does anybody have any further comment? And I think that ties into item M, which I'll really just strike off the agenda for now because we had a chance to discuss it earlier. We are still working on finding a date for our board retreat, and we will do a lot of work on many topics when we get that lined up, but I'm happy to put that in there. Can you put a note about that, Tanya, please? Thank you very much. And now I'm going to move on to new business. So I'll just start off and then I'm going to hand it over to the chief. I received a letter on August 30th from Minister Farnworth and Minister Singh. They were writing to share the province's perspective on the ongoing discussions between Vic PD, SD 61 and SD 61 relating to the school police liaison officer program. So I'd just like to start by getting a motion to receive the letter. Holly, seconded by Paul. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Now I'm just going to hand this over to you, Chief, to speak about this letter a little bit and give us an update on what's going on.
Sure, perfect. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so this letter, as you mentioned, is dated August 30th, and really it was an update from both ministers to let the board know and police leadership know that meetings continue to happen and occur with the Board of Education and the concern expressed around safety, student safety, and infiltration of gangs in area schools and the exploitation of students. So really good letter to demonstrate that the Board of Education has shared a safety plan, but it's being reviewed and there are some concerns and some gaps there, and these meetings are continuing. I want to just highlight for the public who may not be aware that the Victoria and Esquimalt Police Board in May passed this motion because it's going to be relevant in my next update. That the board write a letter to the Minister of Education and Childcare requesting a review of student safety in School District 61 in light of SD 61 board's reluctance to reinstate the school police liaison officer program and the ministry's safe and caring school communities policy. And so I wanted to update the board on a letter that was literally just received. Am I able to do that? It was received within the last hour or so. The letter is addressed to the board and I'm copied on it, as are a number of other people, and it's from Minister Singh. And what it talks about is fairly directed letter that acknowledges that what's important is a safe and caring and inclusive environment for students to achieve their full potential. And there remains concern from the minister about gang activity further entrenching itself in South Island, with schools and children being used to facilitate this activity. The letter goes on to say that the Minister Singh is directing the Board of Education of School District 61 in collaboration with police partners to develop a proactive, coordinated safety plan that meaningfully addresses gang activity, safety concerns, crime prevention, and crisis response. Attached to that was a ministerial order. It is an administrative directive to the Board of Education of SD 61, talking about what that safety plan must encompass. There's a list of areas which I won't go into, Chair. This is all public, but this is, I've just got a couple comments on this. I am extremely pleased to see that this letter has come out with this ministerial order. I'm encouraged to see this. I can tell you that I feel that this is a game changer. I want to give a shout out to our police board for your advocating and making the motion so that it went to government to review this. Student safety is a real concern. Our relationship building and proactive work that the police do in schools is extremely critical to building that trust and that relationship. I think that this order and this letter provide some clarity and some direction for School District 61. I'm optimistic that this direction is going to lead to a really good outcome. And I can tell you that the Victoria's Police Department is committed to working with the SD 61 Board of Education in creating that safe and learning environment. I want to also let you know that the board had a board-to-board meeting with the School District 61. Your board rep is board member Tim Katuri. Him, along with Deputy Chief McCrae and Inspector Michael Brown, have had 2 meetings. And what I thought was optimistic was on July the 31st, we had shared a draft MOU with School District 61, which addressed many of the concerns that were raised and was a path forward for us to come to a compromise, but allow police to be back in schools while addressing some of the concerns that were expressed by School District 61. We have not heard back, so I think the heavy lifting has been done in many ways, but this direction is supported, and I'm happy to work with the Board of Education to see what the next steps are and how do we work together to put student safety number 1. I'll leave my comments at that.
Thank you very much, and I won't make a motion to receive this letter because I don't believe the board's had a chance to read it yet, so that will be deferred to the next meeting, but I imagine this will generate some discussion, and I have a feeling that I know who would like to start. Paul?
Thank you, Chair. I am cognizant of the time. I am so pleased to hear that report from the chief. You know, when I go back and I recall the numerous presentations we heard from the mobile youth service team, and those words from that team telling us directly that students are not safe in School District 61. Those words are still with me, and I want to thank the board for taking its proactive approach. You know, I think it's important to look at the letter that our chairperson received on August the 30th from the 2 ministers, where it actually says, we appreciate the Victoria Police Department's ongoing commitment to students' safety. You know, as long as I've been on this board, this department has championed student safety, and I think has done everything humanly possible to protect students in SD 61. I'm not going to get into the letter is public, but it is clear. It is clear in the letter that the School District 61's plans were not satisfactory to the minister. And it actually says, quote, specifically, they do not adequately talk about student safety measures. It's in the letter that was addressed to Chairperson Hayes. Just quickly, looking at I just looked at the ministerial order. It can be found on the internet on the BC government's website. For anybody who wants to track it down, it's just under ministerial orders, and I know that it's ministerial order 339. But I think I am, while I've quickly scanned this document, I am so pleased to see that the government is ordering School District 61 to come up with a plan that does numerous things, including addressing gang activity, safety concerns, crime preventions, improving the relationship with the police and this board and the police, establishing proactive measures, and so on. It also, I'm pleased that this isn't just going to be allowed to kind of fester on. I want to thank the ministers for putting in some what I think are very strict timelines. If I'm reading this correctly, SD 61 is required to provide a report to the minister by October the 1st, as well as having a final approval of their safety plan by November the 15th. So if I'm reading this correctly, I think that certainly I hope that I know through Chief that we'll be ready to meet with School District 61 to ensure that we can do what we said all along to improve student safety and make sure that everybody going to school is protected. And I know that this department will work overtime. So I think this is, I'm very, very pleased that this has happened. I don't like, I won't get into how this whole issue came up with school police liaison officers. I still have serious concerns about the Human Rights Commissioner's report. I still have concerns about the letter that still stands. But I think that this hopefully will address the issue and we can move forward collectively. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any more discussion or comment? Thank you. I just wanted to take an opportunity to say that I'm really proud to be on the board that took some action and made some motions on that. And I really appreciate everyone in this room. And I know there's a lot of people in this room who've done work on this too, who have put so much work in, who've been open-minded, collaborative, and come to the table to try to move the needle in support of student safety. So I think this is a big win. So no more on that. I'm going to move forward to Tim, item B, new business.
Thank you. And again, thank you for the time. I know we are running a bit late. Yeah, so as the time moves on, we are working with PFM, Pinton, Forest and Madden, on the succession plan for Chief Constable. This is, as we have said, a really, really important priority of the board. And in order to give it the best time and attention, the board has approved a motion to split us into a subcommittee of 5 of us. The chair, Michaela Hayes, the vice chair, Elizabeth Call, and our 2 provincial appointees, Mayor Desjardins and Mayor Alto, and myself, the HR committee, to spearhead our interactions with PFM, to be the front-facing element, because with our time schedules, it is really, really difficult to get us in a room, even for a fun social. So this will help us, I think, do the heavy lifting, do the big work. But all of the important decisions, which are all very, very important, will all be done through the board as a collective. And this would, in essence, be streamlining that relationship with PFM. I think that's all I have. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to now.
No, thank you. And I am just gonna quickly do a rise and report coming from the in-camera portion of our meeting. I'm just reporting on a notice of an extension of investigation through the OPCC, granting an extension of 30 days on file 2023-24011. And the reason cited is just given the complex nature of the investigation and the interest to do a really thorough job. Just reporting on that. Any questions? Great. Well, thank you very much. And I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Elizabeth, seconded by Paul. All those in favor? Thanks very much.